We really have to talk about the soul set and the heart set. I think those are going to be the ones that are least familiar to people. So in the soul set, let's just dive into the most maybe controversial one, but I actually think people are going to resonate with this. The thing that you talked about in the book that really hit me is this notion of being braver, of finding ways to get braver. And I don't know, it was one of those where you're kind of like trying to guess what the person is going to say. And I was so struck by that one. How do we practice getting braver? What does it mean to be braver? And then how does that end up being useful for us?
What terrifies you most, go directly there. Because discomfort is simply growth in wolf's clothing. Yeah, I mean, the last chapter is, I don't want to give too much away, but it's an experience I lived. You know, it's Nelson Mandela's prison cell. Have you been to Robben Island?
I haven't, but I am beyond obsessed with Nelson Mandela, so I know the story very well.
You know, I'd encourage you to go, because standing in that cell, feeling the sensations will transform you at a soul level as well as heart set level. So how do we become more brave? Well, I went over to Nelson Mandela's prison cell and I stood there and I was shocked. He didn't even have a bed and he was in there for 18 years. Then I went over to the limestone quarry and I saw where Nelson Mandela spent 10 years chipping away at stone to break his spirit because they threw the stones away. And then I saw the showers where this elderly statesman would shower while the young guards would laugh at him. And then in the book, I talk about a true fact where he was asked on Robben Island to dig a grave, and he got in the grave thinking he was going to die, and the prison guards urinated on him. And my point is simply this: when Nelson Mandela was released from prison after 27 years of total incarceration, he invited the prosecutor who was seeking the death penalty to dinner. And he invited the prison guard who kept him in prison for 18 years on Robben Island to his inauguration as president of South Africa. And he was asked, why would you do that? And he said, because if I didn't, I'd still be in prison. And my point is to lead and to become a great hero or an everyday hero. The doorway is through embracing our suffering and doing difficult things. I think pleasure has been promoted too much in our society. Like, no great titan of industry, no legendary cellist, no great athlete. You know, the great ones all understand that suffering is the price of greatness. So how do we become braver? You do the difficult things that you don't feel like doing, but you know have the payoff.